development organization is one of the best in the world.
You're helping people, you're working in the community, and people really appreciate you so much for every little bitty thing that you do.
It's fun.
Make a difference. Join the Peace Corps. It's the toughest job you'll ever love.
Welcome to today's Relationships. I'm your host, Russell Price Jr. In studio, we have William, Elaine, and Marcia. We're going to talk about a couple of topics today, and one of them is the do's and don'ts of breaking up. It seems like people are just not staying together. I mean, for one reason or another, they want to separate or get divorced or just end the relationship. But there's a right way to do that, and there's a wrong way to do it. Today, we're going to discuss some do's and don'ts about breaking up. I'll give you a scenario to start this off. A friend of mine, was going with a young lady. He was actually, he was married. And he met this lady who he fell in love with, and he decided he was going to leave his wife. Now, he lived in an area called Fort Washington. He was driving an $80,000 Mercedes, but he wanted to get involved with this woman who he met that lived in a different type of area, but he just loved her. So he got an altercation with his wife, and his wife said, "Get out." So he left and went over to live with her. But subsequently, the wife said she wanted a divorce. So he had to pay for the house, the $80,000 Mercedes, which in his mind, he was happy because he was with who he wanted to be with. But when he got there, subsequently, this individual needed some help. I mean, she was looking at situations where she had bills, she had responsibility. He had to change cars. He started driving a little raggedy type car, and he didn't have any disposable income. After a while, she decided she couldn't take it because when he drove into the neighborhood prior to him leaving his wife, he was driving an $80,000 Mercedes. Her neighbors and everybody thought she's doing good. She got a man that's got something. But now when he's got this other car, she felt as though he didn't have anything. The neighbors didn't feel that she was doing, right. She could do better. Her parents thought she could do better. So she told him to get out. Mm-hmm. At that point, he had to leave. He had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. What do you think about a situation like that, just throwing somebody out? Is that a way to break up? What do you think? Go ahead.
Just tell them to leave.
Just tell them to leave.
Just tell them to leave.
I'm not happy. They give you a scenario, I'm not happy.
Well, then we need to talk about this, why you're not happy. Mm-hmm. What's going on in our relationship that you're unhappy. I need to know. I mean, you just don't throw somebody out. You don't really, she doesn't have a reason.
Well, the reason was that she needed a man to help her to the next level.
Oh, this was the woman.
The woman threw him out. Yeah. The other woman threw him out. The wife said, no, he had decided to leave the wife now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
the wife said bye. The
wife said bye, but she wanted, when he said bye, he had to take care of all the amenities that he had.
Well, Russell, let me give you my opinion about the scenario you laid out. And it's a situation that occurs a lot in relationships. And I think what's happening now is that women are more mainstream into the workplace. Women have declared a lot more independence in their ability to own their own company, manage their own lives, manage their own affairs. And what's happening, I think, we have a misunderstanding and a miscommunication of expectations in relationships. And over time, we have mixed messages in terms of what we are communicating, what is expected in the relationship. For example, there are situations where people feel like, well, honey, did you pay the bill today? And the other person, or the male or the female, may turn to one another and say, well, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you take care of that? Why do you expect that that's my responsibility?
Well, they expect you to take care of it automatically. If she's sitting there with 5 or 6 envelopes, need to be filled, and you don't contribute, she's looking at maybe you should be doing that. But if you don't, then she feels as though I can do this by myself. These are the famous things that people will say to you. I can do this by myself. I don't need to be with someone. Help me with somebody else.
But what I want to say, this should be clarified in the beginning of the relationship as to what you were saying. Who handles the bill? Who handles, those sort of things? And if that's clear from the onset, of the situation, then there's no confusion down the line as to who pays this and who pays that. And then back to the scenario you gave of the guy getting kicked out from his girlfriend. That was the case. She was looking at him for dollars.
Right,
and,
for dollars,
and
right.
it
He
shouldn't
was
be a
dependent.
relationship based on dollars.
Right.
That's right.
Because if you don't have two coins to rub together, but you still care for that person and they care for
wouldn't
you,
matter.
it shouldn't matter as
right.
long as you work together towards a common
Right.
goal.
But this is happens. This is why we're discussing this, because people. This happens every day as we're speaking right now. People go into relationships thinking one way. You may go in for love. Love, in a lot of times in today's situation, does not carry a lot of weight. This man left his wife for love. He had all that. See, he had the
But
$300,000.
the girlfriend
thought he
wasn't
had
looking at him for love.
No.
She was looking at him for dollars.
for
He
dollars.
left his
Right.
dollars back at home.
Home, right.
So
He left the
meaning
dollars back
he
at
should
home.
have been clear when he got with her, is this legit or this is not legit? That
Right.
wasn't legit.
Well, it wasn't
because it wasn't
legit when
love.
He went to the other woman.
Well,
See,
from
that
Jump
point
Street,
on, right.
from Jump
So you
Street. But
can't do
after
wrong and
getting
think
there,
good's gonna
yeah,
happen
No,
to you.
that's true.
Well, that's true too.
And the other aspect is we have to be a bit more honest,
Yes.
a bit more open, a bit more compassionate,
And understanding.
and a bit more understanding. And above all, demonstrate respect to one another. And that's what's missing. So I've heard of conversations in the past where people use the terminology, we should be submissive
No.
to the relationship. Now, people get kind of bristled up and they start, getting a little angry about it. But my thing is, spiritually, somebody has to yield in relationship.
You are submissive to a degree. I
Right,
mean,
you have to be
And
submissive.
communication
You have
is
to.
the basic.
You
If
really
you don't
do.
have communication and lack of, will create all the problems we see today in relationship. If you can't talk to your spouse and he or she cannot talk to you, then you have a problem.
Back to what he said, to this word submission. In my seminars, workshop, we do seminars and workshops all over. That's the one word that most women will say, I'm not going to submit to a man. But to get to a level of marriage, and a level where the man is the head of the household and the woman is saying, hey, this is my man, and I want to submit this relationship to my man. The word submission, and this is how I clarify it, does not mean you are subordinate. It means that you are submission to the mission. Okay, you're going to submit to the mission. That's what I get from submission. Otherwise, if our mission is to have a marriage, to be happy, you as my woman is going to submit to that mission. So you're going to be submissive to that man. But if you can't do that, that's why so many women aren't married today.
And that's a two-way
That's true.
street. That's
Yeah.
a two-way.
Oh, he's going to
Both have
submit.
to
Well,
be.
he's going to submit to the man. You'll never hear a man saying. You won't never hear too many men saying. You hear them saying, look, but they won't say, I'm not going to, submit to my marriage. I'm not going to be a man. He's saying, in essence, I don't want that woman. When a man wants a woman, he's going to say, hey, my wife is the most precious thing to me. I'm going, whatever she wants, he's going to try to make her happy. When you're in a relationship and a man is saying stuff like, I'm not going to do this for my wife. I ain't buying no flowers. He don't like her. He don't, that's not his wife.
Or
So-
saying he's not going to make her happy by doing
he's not
the
going to make
things
He's
to
not
make
gonna,
her happy.
If he ever says his wife, when you have a wife, that is a precious, somebody carrying your name. You couldn't ask for a better situation. So if you really love her, you will not only will you be submissive to your wife, to the mission of marriage, you're going to say, hey, this is something that be able to say, I got a wife. Most people want to go into, most men would love to go into a Hallmark card shop and say, let me pick out the card for my wife. You get that, and especially if she's your wife and she's loving you and giving you all the acclimations, you are her man. That's why with this book, you might not have a woman if she feels as though she's your woman, and that's your wife, it's even better. But we're talking about the breakup situation when you have to leave your wife or you have to leave your girlfriend. There's ways to do that, and people do it in a rash way, which you want to try to do it in a way that you're going to go. The bottom line is that once a woman comes to you and say, I don't want you living with me anymore, I don't want to be with you, I don't want to date you anymore, I don't want to see you anymore, at that point, she ain't your woman.
Right.
The man should realize at that point, if he loved her, he should say to her, I love this woman. Apparently she doesn't love me anymore. But because of love of her, I'm going to respect her wishes.
Well, let me say this,
That's a
Russell.
good point,
I
Russell.
think that people have to be true to their marriage vows.
Right.
I think when you make a commitment to someone and you that's a lifelong commitment
It
through
is.
sickness and health. And People are taking this thing too lightly, and I think we have to work a lot harder at being kinder to each other. I would say, don't just shut down in the relationship. I would say, don't just give up on a relationship. I would say, don't just turn your back on a relationship when things seem to be going bad. I think you do communicate. You do assume accountability. You do act responsibly. So you have to sit down and talk about it. Short of that, maybe you need intervention. Maybe you need a third party. Now, depending on the age of the man or the age of the woman, some people may feel that to bring other people into their love affair or into a relationship is creating more problems. Now, years ago, we had the extended families that wouldn't allow the European systems to influence taking a person to jail for child support and that kind of thing. There were pressures on the family network that kept people together. And we're losing that.
But nowadays, separation, divorce, somebody saying, I don't want you anymore, doesn't affect anybody. See, years ago, if you left your husband, you just couldn't walk back into the church next Sunday and say, how y'all doing? I got separated. You couldn't go to work and say, what happened to you today? Well, I left my wife. You know, people didn't accept that. So today, the same way in a relationship, you'll have family members will say to the daughter, well, what is he going to do for you? Do you see any future in it? You may be in love now. Y'all may have a good relationship physically, emotionally, psychologically, y'all happy. But the outside forces are saying, what kind of job he has? If you get sick, can he take care of you? You better not stay with him. He ain't got nothing to offer you. So then the person starts thinking along the lines, well, you know, I don't think he can take care of me. All that negative stuff. So they will throw away love for the idea of security. When if you have love and somebody who wants to work with you, you can get it all. But people look at what you have immediately. In a lot of cases, material things. And you can get the material thing. You can get material things.
That by yourself.
And by yourself. You can get it anywhere in this town. This is Washington, D.C. You can get material things just like that.
Right.
But what you want is a situation where something you can't get.
Right.
And Russell, if the person love you, they will get that good job. They will go to school to better themselves.
Right.
If they didn't do it for this woman or that woman, if they love you, they will do all they can to make you happy, knowing that makes
that makes the marriage stronger, makes the relationship
stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then that person should not be with you, and you should not be with that person.
I have a saying, we're coming up on the break right now, but I have a saying before we go on the break. I'm not looking for someone to live with. I'm looking for someone I can't live without. Amen. It's a big difference.
That's good.
Okay, when we come back off the break, we're going to be discussing another topic. This is today's relationships, and I'm your host, Russell Price Jr.
It is a test, not just of strength, but of the power of the mind. And if you complete the journey, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to today's relationships. Before the break, we're talking about breaking up, and I want to give you some do's and don'ts of breaking up. One of the things that you don't want to do, I'll give you a scenario. This individual was told by his significant other, I don't want to be with you anymore. He, in turn, wanted to honor that. So he said, just give me a couple of days and I'm going to be leaving. As he went by to pick up his things, she came by to see what he's going to take, which he was not going to do anything derogatory. He was just going to try to get his stuff out. make a long story short, what happened in the situation here, they had small kids. She had some small kids there, and a son was there, a couple of sons were there. She in turn started hollering, screaming at him, telling him to get out, trying to embarrass him in front of the kids. You don't want to do that in a relationship, especially if a person's cooperating. I mean, why would you want to say in front of the child, I'll call the police on you, or get out, or, you know, make it seem like you're throwing the man out who you in turn before had in your house because you loved him.
And loved him.
Now, why would you, give me an example, why would a woman do that?
I don't know, that's I guess she's trying to make herself look good, trying to make daddy look wrong. That's all that is, making the father look bad. You don't want to do that, though.
That's something you wouldn't do in front of children. No
You
matter what's going on between you and the other person, the children shouldn't be used as instrument in that, and you should never let the children see you argue
and also
fight.
it destroys what you feel.
So
it makes a situation where the woman that you loved, you don't want to associate with that person, because now you know that person is kind of dangerous.
Right.
You know, I mean, for them to do that, so that's a no-no. Don't try to use the children or leave in front of children.
or to minimize
The situation
man
in front
of the children.
What you feel for him, especially if he still loves you, he's going to do what's necessary. He's not going to give you any kind of hard time. Now, if somebody's abusing you or a situation, you have to do it that way. You can't. It's inevitable. You can't do it.
And then not have the children there when he's coming to move his things. You can, you know, you can get
But if
around
the
that.
children were there, you could make it a easy way to leave. You know,
Right,
transition.
for them.
Also, don't break up over the phone. It's too impersonal, okay? And don't break up around a major holiday like New Year's Eve or Christmas, someone's birthday. You know, if you truly love that individual, you would not break up around their birthday, because you would have consideration for them. You would say, hey, this is my woman I love, or this is my man I love. We're not going to be together, but I still want to remember things about them. So why would you want to do something around their birthday?
That memory.
And what
make
I've
that
always
memory.
said, even if you're not going to be around the person anymore and you love the person, you want to have a friendship. I've always would want to have a friendship with a loved one that I've had in my past or whatever, because, you know, they're still someone you've been involved with. So you don't use holidays, but it's no good time to break up.
No.
But like you say, it's no good time.
No good time,
It's no good
but
time, but you don't do it.
you don't
like
do
you
it
say
around
at
a holiday.
that time.
Yeah,
I
And
agree.
in addition to that, Russell, I believe that we have to get back to what I mentioned earlier, kind of compassion and a kind of respect for one another. I think that people who demonstrate these types of behaviors really don't like themselves and probably have a lot of the insecurities and are very manipulative in their behavior, because clearly there was some forethought into the woman who put her man out, the woman who's now deciding that she's going to manipulate her man because she doesn't like the way things are going, or because she feels that there's no love. I think that what we really have to get down to, Russell, is communication.
Oh, communication is
That's
the
the
key.
key.
Communication is the key. But you have to know how to communicate. You have to know the ramifications of communications. If you don't know the do's and don'ts of communication, you still can't
You're
communicate.
still lost.
Right.
You're still
you have
lost.
to have
So
it
you
when
have to
things
have
are going good. You can't just wait till
till
things are going bad. You have to have the communication. And the
Also-
bad thing, if you don't have it and you haven't had it, it's going to
So let me- it's gonna blow up.
It's not going to work.
So let me ask you this, then why is it that women find it necessary to sort of demonstrate this kind of control and this kind of manipulation in relationships when they perceive that things are going bad?
It's like a put your guard up. You put your guard up.
Protect yourself.
You protect yourself.
Right.
It's what you're doing when you're doing that.
But you know that these things are operating inside of you long before things begin to get out of control, that the kids are involved now, the neighbors are involved now. I mean, when you talk about do's and don'ts, you know, rather than sitting down
But if you-
and communicating.
If you go into it like that, knowing that this person is dominating, that if they are being like that in the beginning of the relationship and throughout, you know what type of person you're dealing with. If this person all of a sudden shows it when they're about to break up, they have their guard up
Right.
because they don't know what's next.
Also,
No.
also, you should know as a man or female, if you go in a relationship and you know the type of person, what they're capable of, then you should be in a position to prepare yourself.
That's right.
Like I tell men also, and women, but mainly men, if a man is going to live with somebody, he had better have his own, somewhere he can go, you follow what I'm saying?
Exactly.
He better have a place to go, or have his own place, or be able just to get his own place. Because nothing is more distorting is if a man is somebody got your stuff in a trash bag. You follow what I'm saying? And you're
Or not having it in the trash
or not
bag,
having-
and you cannot get your
or if
things. How do you feel
if they
if you
say
can't
stuff
get
to
your
you, you better come
belongings?
get your stuff, because if you don't get it by tomorrow, I'm going to throw it out. This person has now stooped you down to the lowest of
You
low.
cannot
Right, you have to
degrade a
start
person
all over
any
again.
worse when you have them put out, evicted without their personal belongings. Because what is your worth?
Right.
If you work for years and you don't have your clothing, then you don't have your home, you don't have your clothing, what have you, what do you have?
But
That
what-
is degrading,
but
and
what-
it shouldn't ever have to be that way.
And that's what men will
That's
say.
poor.
I lost everything.
Right, but it shouldn't have to be that point.
Or vice versa.
What I'm
Right.
saying,
And
what I'm
vice
saying
versa.
to the people out there in the audience, if you're listening to this program or you see it, I want you to reiterate one thing. If you're going to live with somebody, or if you're married, if the person's attitude is of such, I can get rid of you. Like say someone's been married 2, 3
Or till
times.
you get out.
Yeah, if you get out. Say you're dealing with a woman who's been married 2 or 3, or a man that's married 2 or 3 times. Now, you know for a fact they have divorced before. So if things don't go right, they will divorce you. You got to know in the back of your mind.
Yeah, they done left 2, 3 already, so don't think you
matter.
won't be
What you
one.
want to do in that relationship is try to be the exception. But if you see you're not going to be the exception,
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Be
because
prepared.
that person will let you know, hey, I got rid of people before. I've been married twice. I've been
I'll
married
do it
3 times.
again.
I'll do it again. I'll keep doing until I keep finding. You don't want to be associated with that person as far as, you're trying to be your wife or something, because that's going to hurt. So you have to be prepared. All I'm saying to you, be prepared. Because if you don't be prepared, that person will have no regards for you. They don't care if your mother died. They don't care if your cat
Back
died.
to mothers,
They don't
exactly.
care. They don't care nothing about you. At that point, they will not even pick the phone up and say, how you doing? They're lost.
And
Well,
if they don't give you your things in a bag, then you're really underneath.
I'm a product of the 60s from Birmingham, Alabama, and very, very traditional in my views. But I just feel that, we have to respect one another. I mean, there has to be some sound spiritual connection in our belief system and our value system and the things that we principally believe in. Truly, if you reach the threshold, then you do need to leave the relationship. But what I hear in the dialogue here is the consequences of things rather than the preventive
My thing
element
first
to
is
things.
know your person, know your mate. If you know him, you know what you're going to go through. You know his patterns, you know her patterns, you know the type of things that you're going to go through.
And Marcia, sometimes you could never know them after so many
Right,
years.
after
And that's
so
the
many
bad
years,
thing. You
but-
think you know them,
growing,
and that's
right. You
surprise.
think you know them, you grow together.
People change,
And
and
people
they
change.
grow
Change them,
apart.
Grow apart.
Right.
Let's go
And you
back
just
to
gotta
give you a couple
try
of
to
do's,
work
then
it
we're going to go
out.
to another subject. Things you should do. You should talk about it in a mutual decision. Where say something like, it's right for the both of us. This is what we're doing is right for the both of us. Okay, that's something you should do. You should also be respectful. Give the other person an opportunity to work through their feelings. You want to make sure they have opportunity to work through this. Let them know that, hey, we're not going to be together, but I still love you. But I know now you don't love me. Don't ever say in a relationship, maybe if I didn't do this. You ever hear people say when they break up, they say, well, maybe if I would have.
Don't second guess.
Don't second guess
It
nothing,
doesn't-
because it's not what you didn't do. It's that the person didn't love you enough to do that. So in other words, if somebody's leaving you, it wouldn't make a difference whether you did this before or not. They've already decided that they don't want to be with you. Because if they loved you enough, they would, like you say, communication, want to work it out,
would've
get
worked-
counseling.
it would've worked out.
Nothing could tear them apart. Nothing could drive you out. You've already made a decision that you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there. And also to help people in a relationship, if the other person if their love is so weak that they can't stay, then yours should be strong enough to let them go and just move on. The other stuff you want to talk about is you might not have a man if. We're writing a new book. It's called You Might Not Have a Man If. And I'll give you a couple of scenarios that people think that's not their man. For instance, lady told me if he's constantly checking his cell phone while you're in his presence, might not be your man. You know, if he's constantly making phone calls back and forth while you're at dinner or you're out talking to him, he's got the cell phone sitting there, might not be your man. She says also, in our survey, if you call him up, he says he's talking to his mother, he'll call you back and he never does, it might not be your man. If he is out with you and he has no acknowledgement of you, does not want to acknowledge you in any way, and there's no reason for that. Some cases there's a reason why sometimes a man does not want to acknowledge his significant other, because he's in an area that he doesn't really want that person to be in, you know, or they maybe he might say, well, I don't want to do this to this guy because I don't want him to even know anything about my significant other. But if it's a general rule is that he's ashamed of you, might not be your man. You know, give me some examples though for you as a woman.
I guess if he has the cell phone bill, you said about the checking the pager and out of your presence, or not having the page or the cell phone on him when he's around you, he might not be your man.
What about?
He may not be your man if he tells you, I don't want to be with you, and you keep after him and after him. Women have to know when to let go and see it coming.
If a man told you outright, I don't want to be with you, what would make you want to pursue that?
It wouldn't make me want to pursue it.
Well, I'm saying to you, you said that some women do that. Why would somebody?
They feel
self-esteem.
Low self-esteem. They have very low self-esteem, and they're willing to hear it and settle for it, just in fact for you to be there, and that's poor.
To have
that's poor. Just to have them, and you really don't
if
have one.
If somebody doesn't want you, and they're giving you signs, but if they outright tell you,
what more do
then
you want?
you need to look at that situation and say, hey, this person don't want me.
And
but
it's
also
not good for me.
Don't make excuses. We're coming up on an event Friday. It's going to be October the 8th at the Holiday Inn. It's called Relationship Talk Live. We want everybody to come out to that. If you can come out to that, we can discuss things openly. We're going to be discussing why men cheat. We're going to also be discussing the subject we're talking about right now. You might not have a man if. We're going to talk about the communication issue that William brought up, how it is to communicate, why we should communicate, things you can do in your relationship to know where you stand, the 5 levels of relationship. If you get nothing out of this, you come out Friday, the 8th at the Holiday Inn out in College Park. You can give me a call also. Give me a call at 301-386-1209. That's 301-386-1209, just to make sure you can get tickets to this or come out even to be on the show. But give me another example, William. Give me something that you may have done or you see men do that show that you're not that person's man.
One thing that you can pay attention to, if a man can't look you in the eye and tell you the truth, then it might not be your man. If a man can't allow you, in context, the freedom to go and do what you need to do to make sure that your family is secure, that the household is secure, and you're confident in who you are and trust you at doing that, then it might not be your man. If a man can't accept your faults as well as your strengths, then you might not be your man. If a man can't appreciate you for who you are, then you might not be your man. If a man can't be a stone lover, a true lover, okay?
For all of you.
Woman, the essence of
not
you.
for other women. Not for other women.
No,
just
for you.
Just for you.
Okay, we're going to be wrapping this up. William, we're going to wrap this up. No, but what he's saying, it's come from a man's perspective.
All right,
now.
William.
He's telling you what about. Now, most men's not going to tell you this. This is what this is about. That's why we want you to come out Relationship Talk on October the 8th at the Holiday Inn. It's going to be straight talk, no chaser. Information that's hard to swallow, but you got to know. Information that's hard to swallow. Straight talk from men and women.
But we'll make light of it sometime.
Right. Sometimes. But it's going to
have fun.
But give me a call to be on the show. It's 301-386-1209. Today's relationships. This is what it's all about. Any closing statements? We got about maybe 60 seconds. Go ahead.
He might not be yours if he puts you and your mother out.
If you put you in, definitely not your man.
That's not your man.
What about what? Got one?
Might not be your man if you can't go up on his job.
That's right.
He might not be your man.
That's right.
If you
Somebody
can't go to
else's
his
man on
job.
On the job,
That's right. Okay.
Right.
Well, I have one good closing remark, which I think is profound, and I believe that what a person presents to you in everyday life, believe it.
Right, believe it.
That's it.
Okay, we're